YNW Melly officially facing death penalty after new evidence.
What?
I said, what happened?
Oh, I thought you said Henny. I'm like, all right, you gotta let it go.
No, I'm vibing now, I'm vibing.
All right, bet.
YNW Melly has been making headlines again after his third studio album titled Melly vs. Melvin has dropped on November 22nd. He released the album after serving time in prison for allegedly taking the lives of his two best friends, YNW Jerby and YNW Sack Chaser. Despite Melly's new album doing very well after its release, things are not doing so well for the Broward County rapper in other aspects of his life. Prosecutors are trying to convince the judge that the 20-year-old rapper should face the death penalty if found guilty as the suspect involved in the deaths of his two best friends. Don't forget to stay tuned until the end of the video as we cover why Melly is facing the death penalty and what he did to get there. Be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment the keyword Melvin below to enter a chance of winning in our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. Now let's get started. Melly's fame rose quickly, especially after releasing his hit song with Kanye West called Mixed Personalities. The young rapper's music videos started to all reach millions of views as fans were starting to explore into more of his music. Melly's fame came to a halt as quickly as his career rose. He turned himself into authorities earlier this year in February of 2019 and was charged with a double homicide. There's been new evidence found on this criminal case that confirms that YNW Melly and his associate, YNW Borthan, had staged the crime scene and had lied to police about what had really happened the night that their two best friends, YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Jerby, were killed. This evidence puts Melly in a really tough spot. Sources say the prosecutors are talking about giving the 20-year-old star a death sentence if he is found guilty of the dual homicide. There are 30 states in America that still use the death penalty, and Melly's home state of Florida is one of those 30 states. The rapper is being charged with 2 homicides and of tampering with evidence and staging the crime scene. These violations make it very possible for him to receive this death sentence. This is an extremely scary outcome for the young rapper, especially since his career is just starting to take off. Melly and his legal team were under the impression that Melly would be granted bail after surrendering himself to the police. He was extremely saddened that he not only got declined for bail, but also may be losing his life over this fiasco. YNW Melly's legal team was fighting hard for the young rapper's freedom, and they tried to convince the judge to give the rapper a break since he is still mourning the loss of his two best friends. This indeed was a hard time for the rapper. He not only had to face these serious legal accusations, but also had to deal with the passing of his two close friends. The judge was not exactly convinced that Melly deserved freedom, as all the evidence found in the case confirmed that Melly appeared to have been the shooter in his friends' deaths. YNW Melly and his associate, YNW Borthan, had thought they came up with a perfect cover-up story for the deaths of their friends, but the two accused suspects were not as smooth as they thought. They told police that the 4 YNW members were driving home that night when suddenly their Jeep Compass was hit in a random drive-by shooting that left their friends Anthony Williams, aka YNW Sack Chaser, and Christopher Thomas Jr., aka YNW Jerby, dead. After the supposed drive-by shooting, YNW Melly and YNW Borthan had taken their 2 injured friends to Myanmar Hospital just before 5 a.m., where they were pronounced dead. This was the story that had been told law enforcement, but investigators had realized early on during their investigation that Melly and Borthan's story didn't seem to be adding up. It was strange that 2 of the people in the car received multiple bullet wounds, yet Melly and Borthan left the drive-by completely unharmed. Melly was sitting behind the driver's seat in the rear, and Borthan was driving the Jeep Compass. Police say that after Melly had shot his 2 associates, they had staged the vehicle with more bullet holes to appear as if it was hit in a drive-by shooting. They also had gotten rid of the firearm used in the crime scene to make it appear as if they didn't have a gun, so they did not seem capable of such an act. Investigators had found bullet shell casings inside of the vehicle in the rear driver's seat, where Melly was sitting, which suggested the firearm was fired off from inside of the Jeep. The pathway of the bullets that hit the Jeep also did not match the victim's wounds based on the trajectory analysis, which was strange. The damaged Jeep shows that the bullets had entered from the right side and that the bullets had exited to the left side of the SUV. The victim's wounds displayed the exact opposite, meaning that they were shot from their left side with the bullet exiting to the right side of their bodies. This confirms their theory that Melly, who was sitting to the left side of the victims, had fired his weapon at both of them from inside of the vehicle, and later staged additional bullet holes onto the vehicle to make it appear as if they were really involved in a random drive-by shooting. Investigators also found that the victims' bodies appeared to have been hit multiple hours before being brought to the hospital. which implies that Melly and Portland drove around with their dead friends for some time before finally bringing them in. Police believe this is when Melly and Portland had came up with their bright idea for their cover-up story that seemed completely bogus. This was one of the most bizarre cases that we have covered, and many people are still wondering why YNW Melly would take the lives of two of his own best friends. There was just no clear intent to why he would have committed this horrific act. These were two people that Melly had grown up with, and they were also YNW affiliates. Although the reason is not clear, Melly knew that people wouldn't believe that he would shoot his own two friends, and thought that he could easily cover this up. He wasn't wrong. Many fans believe he is innocent, and that he would never do such a thing to his own friends. It is hard to say what really happened when you consider all of the evidence that has been found. Jamel Demons, better known as YNW Melly, pled not guilty to the dual homicide charges he was facing, and claims he would not be capable of such a violent act. In July of 2019, the rapper took to Instagram to update fans and wrote a message that said, "I'll be home soon. I'm smiling because God is with me." He is sticking to his not guilty plea, and with the help of his strong legal team, he believes he has a chance in this case, despite prosecutors believing otherwise. Just after turning himself in back in February of 2019, he posted a picture on Instagram with his three YNW members, Portland, Sack Chaser, and Jervy, which he captioned a personal message that wrote, "A couple of months ago, I lost my two brothers by violence, and now the system wants to find justice. Unfortunately, a lot of rumors and lies are being said, but no worries, God is with me and my brother YNW Portland, and we want y'all to remember it's a YNW family. I love you." He did his best to clear his name and to convince fans that he was an innocent man. Melly knew that if he was to be proven guilty of these acts, that he could be facing a life sentence, or even worse, the death sentence. So far, prosecutors were doing a really good job of making it appear the 20-year-old rapper was guilty of these charges, and were using all of the evidence found on this case against him. Investigators had some serious evidence that confirmed the charges against Melly and proved the crime scene vehicle was indeed staged. Many people want to believe that the rapper is innocent and that he wouldn't be capable of such an act. But why would he and his associate Portland drive around with their two deceased friends for hours? The only feasible explanation would be that they needed time to come up with a cover-up story to try to maintain their freedom. The entire case was very controversial, with many fans having different opinions on whether or not the rapper was innocent. Melly's mugshot has been released after months of being arrested, and it had seemed to create even more controversy. Melly appeared in his mugshot with a smile, which made him appear pretty strange. What did he have to smile about after losing his two close friends and getting accused of taking their lives? Blogs have been continuously posting the photo and discussing how he appeared to look evil in the mugshot, and how it was extremely strange that he would be smiling in it. Melly also had songs that he had released which spoke about homicide and how it was on his mind. He went into detail on his songs on how he would go about performing such an act. Law enforcement was also investigating his music to see if any included any further evidence. His songs that included him speaking about these homicide stories had started to increase in streams rapidly after the rapper was accused of these charges. It was an interesting and bizarre story that was catching a lot of attention in the hip-hop community. Melly's career was just starting to take off, which made it pretty tragic that his career has been cut short by his legal battles. Unfortunately, this is a common scenario for young upcoming rappers, but it is not so common for them to be facing a possible death sentence or life sentence like Melly currently is. He is technically innocent until proven guilty, so people are giving him the benefit of the doubt. But in the near future, he will have a court hearing which will determine whether or not he may ever see another day of light. All odds seem to be pointing against Melly in the legal aspect, as there is plenty of evidence which does not work in his favor. Melly was so confident that he would get bail since he had surrendered himself to the police, but this expectation was far from reality. Melly either thought that he had the perfect cover-up story to claim his innocence, or he may have been genuinely innocent and someone had set him up to make it appear as if he was found guilty. Law enforcement has been known to plant evidence and set people up before, but with Melly's criminal firearm history and his open lyrics about homicide, it seems more likely that Melly was not set up and that the evidence showed that he was guilty because he indeed was. Why do you think Melly would ever want to take the lives of his own two associates? Could it be to get attention and to get more people to hear about his music? Or for some other unknown reason? Let us know your take on this case in the comments below. Do you think Melly is innocent and had been set up? Or did he really take the lives of YNW Sack Chaser and Jervy? We will find out when the state of Florida finally sets his court date next year. Be sure to leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and comment the keyword Melvin below to enter a chance at winning our $100 Amazon gift card giveaway. Thanks for tuning in to Lime Report. We'll see you on the next one.
My life, I
Gotta get on the song, man. You know, Yay, Yeezy.
Hey,
And I know that you're young and you're filled with life. Ain't no need to be ashamed, I don't judge.